Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching. Welcome to our episode number 11, magic number of our weekly series, What's Your Spark? Today I'm here with Archana Shetty from Qatar, a place that I have been to before. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. So last week we had to skip our show, unfortunately, with Christine Mushimbwe for very, very important reasons. But I promise we will find a new date for our show with Christine as well. So before we hear more about Archana and her remarkable spark, Archana, hi, first of all.
Hello, so glad to be here.
Yes, I'm really, really happy to have you on. And I was very much looking forward to this. So before we go into her spark, please, everyone watching, would you hit that like button and share your comments and questions in the comment section? And if you're not catching us live today, you're still most welcome to comment after the show and while you're watching the recording, both here and on YouTube, where I'll post the recording as well. And I promise we're going to also follow up on your comments a little later. This series is, as always, for anyone who appreciates being inspired by other women from all over the world, women who are contributing their insights and their creativity, their very special, unique wisdom, and their great stories. Because, as you know, fresh inspiration supports the creation of new possibilities for ourselves. We can open up new possibilities more easily when we receive inspiration to do so. And through these interviews with women around the world, we can grow from and with each other and be inspired to fully live our own spark as well, which then, of course, leads to greater fulfillment, and it leads to more passionate and purpose-driven and impactful lives. All of us have this special spark inside of us, and it's just a matter of igniting it. And we are meant to truly sparkle with it in this world, shine our brilliance out to the world. Whether we are entrepreneurs, employees, it does not matter in any capacity. So today we had the great pleasure to introduce to you Archana Shetty, a woman who has definitely made a huge difference for her clients and audiences. And I'm so curious to hear more. So Archana is a certified executive leadership and team coach. She's the director of WELead Coaching and Consulting. And make sure to also check her LinkedIn profile after our show. Not right now, just listen to what she has to say. But after our show, check it out because there's much more in it than I can even cover here. Archana, are you ready to sparkle and shine?
Yes, I am, Regina.
Yes, I like that. I love your energy.
Thank you. And first of all, thank you for creating such a wonderful space of new possibilities for all the women and actually all the people out here. And I really, really appreciate the work that you do in transformational leadership and bringing all these wonderful brains together. So great to be here and share some of my ideas. Wonderful.
Thank you for bringing your beautiful energy here, Archana. I really, really love it, love it, love it. Yes, we need this enthusiasm, especially in these times where everybody is challenged. And I'm so curious to hear about your special spark. What is that unique brilliance and genius that you bring into this world and to your clients?
Thank you, Regina, for asking that question. Actually, when you spoke about the spark, I never realized I had that spark within me for many years. It was only when I started doing this kind of transformational work, I realized there's something within me. And what's my spark? So my why is basically help people thrive, be their best self without burning out. So actually, I see myself as a catalyst that inspires people to do the work that really matters to them and the world around them. It is like a bridge between self-serving and world-serving. So my mission is to create a sea of next generation, future-ready, impactful leaders and entrepreneurs. So together we can make a massive difference in our world. Like you introduced, I'm an executive leadership and team coach, and I've been working in teams for over 20 years now, both corporates and startups, and I enjoy. I'm really excited, to see the transformation that they go through in our work together.
Wow, that is amazing. Yes, and I love it that you're saying you're a catalyst, because I always also say, we are facilitators, we are catalysts, we are guides. We cannot empower other people. We can only guide them to empower themselves, right? So
Absolutely,
I really
absolutely.
love that you're saying this. And yes, how did you find your spark? I'm really curious.
So, now I support medium and large size enterprises in getting this exceptional business results by developing leaders and teams. And more importantly, now I'm more focused on increasing well-being along with performance. We all know how much the pandemic has had a negative
Yes.
impact on most of us. But my work started a few years back. When I was in corporate and in my corporate life, I experienced both good leadership and bad leadership. So the vision and mission and all these big things were
Yeah.
bold and lofty, but leadership was not really inspiring. And leaders were many a times out of integrity with themselves. They would say something and do something else, and people were treated many a times like they were a commodity, easily told that you are replaceable, not being valued for what gifts they bring to the table. That's really not inspiring. And it was very demotivating for me and for many of the people around me. And what I realized that people are competent, people are wanting, employees wanting to do their best work. But when they are in an environment that is toxic, you cannot put in your best work forward. So experiencing bad leadership actually helped me. It was in a kind of a blessing in disguise. Now, it was difficult during those times, but now I feel I'm really grateful to those experiences that I had that let me realize that, this is not the leadership that I want to propagate and why I want to advocate. And that led me to some of the work on emotional intelligence, science of happiness, science of well-being. I dug deep into neuroscience. I'm a science geek, so I love getting deep into neuroscience. And then worked upon what is the kind of leadership I want to advocate. And that is around human-centered, compassionate leadership. So that's the work that I'm now doing. And what happens now in the work that I do, I generally coach and also mentor teams. So I coach using Dr. Richard Bautz's coaching philosophy of coaching with compassion, where you tap into that person's vision, their dreams, their purpose. And when you're able to do that, it ignites a totally different network in your brain, which is called as an empathic network, which is different from when you coach with compliance, which typically happens in organizations where you are identified as this is a gap and this is a gap you have to fill, so you have to comply with this particular, this is the roadmap. But that is not the best way to help employees fulfill, like you said, or thrive in their work. So I coach with compassion around the other things that I do around leadership and team development.
Yeah, that's great. So many people find their own spark because they have gone through a certain experience themselves, and they are all of a sudden inspired to create change, positive change. And that's how we get where we are, right? Most of us, at least. So that's really, really inspiring to hear. Also, I love that you said, leaders, so-called leaders, who only pay lip service, but they don't lead through example, are not truly inspiring. They are oftentimes the opposite. So we want to create courageous leaders, ethical leaders, incorrupt leaders, inspiring leaders who are also authentic leaders, who are transparent, all these different things that we want to see in a leader. So I love that you're doing this work. I also do some similar trainings and coaching as well, as you probably know. And one of the concepts I've developed is called Humanizing the Workplace. It has a similar focus, as you mentioned earlier, where we really bring out the best in people by inspiring them, encouraging them, and really creating a trusted environment, a culture of trust where they can feel safe to contribute, so they can actually be inspired and engaged in a better way, right? Because if we have an environment where they don't feel safe, or where they are not really, where they are not, they might not be belittled always, but they are not always really encouraged and inspired to share their $1 million ideas, and they might even take them to some other place where they are, where they feel more welcome, right? So yeah, just to sum it up a little bit, and how you already shared a little bit. So how are you making an impact through your spark? How does it find its expression? We heard about this, but can you give us maybe an example of one of your most successful clients?
Yeah. So one of the things before we move on to that question, when you spoke about employees leaving, they might leave the place. I conducted a research last year during the pandemic, one and a half year back, to identify what was the real challenges that people were facing. One, of course, was around burnout and anxiety, depression, all because of the personal challenges people were going through, and also because of the environment and COVID-related part. In this part of the world, there were many furloughs, job cuts, so that added to the challenge of burnout. So that was one big category. And another big category was around disconnection from work. People lost, there was a lack of sense of belonging to work. There was, they could not find a meaning and sense of purpose. And that led to attrition. And you might have heard of the great resignation, that is, economists call it as the great resignation, attrition that is happening globally across the world. And many of the employees that I interviewed, they told me that they're willing to leave the jobs even if they don't have a job in hand currently. So that severe the pain was, in spite of not having a job. And I know one of my good friends left, even when he did not have another job in hand. And all because, all because of either the toxic culture, leadership was ineffective. So the cost is really, really huge. And most HR organizations think that attrition is because of increase in workload. That is one of the reasons, but not the only reason. Or they think employees could be given a better compensation, then they would stay at work. And whereas the data says, a McKinsey report recently said that 51% of the employees actually leave because they don't feel valued, or they don't feel a sense of belonging to work. So now you realize how much important, the leadership and team plays, and the culture plays in keeping and retaining top talented people. So this work is absolutely not only important, it's urgent. And having said, sorry.
No, it's absolutely true what you just said. It's really about treating the people, the employees, as humans. We all want to be listened to. We all want to be valued. We all want our ideas to be heard and to contribute. That's human nature. Yeah. But sometimes we just find the right place for that, and we need to go to a different place to find that. And a lot of people also try to change it, but they run up against barriers. And there's a certain point when this burnout that you mentioned earlier starts to happen. And we really need to find a way to build that trust, to build a more inclusive environment where everybody has not only gets a chance, because a lot of people are also very introverted, and for them it's not as easy to speak up and share. So we need to also find a way to have them contribute as well, because I always call this two types of hiding, or you could call it that. Hiding is one is more voluntary, like you hide behind your computer screen and you hope that one day you will be discovered and promoted, right? And we know it doesn't work that way. And the other one is when somebody has been shut down in the past, or they have had a specific experience, and that is the more reactive hiding, as I call it in my work. And that happens, when we're shut down, when we are maybe just ignored, or whatever that situation was like, right? So, but go on, please.
Yeah, you brought in a very important point of both inclusivity as well as, why women, we generally want all the boxes to be ticked before
Mhm.
even we start asking for a raise or asking for a promotion.
Yeah.
Whereas, the other side, men consider themselves, even when they don't have all the boxes ticked, tick, they have the potential, they can apply for the job. So this is something that we have to constantly reflect and examine our behavior, our thoughts, our feelings, and then take conscious actions, especially for women, because these are all the natural biases we have. And then take proactive steps so that we are seen. We are capable. Only if we believe in ourselves. For others to believe in ourselves, we have to believe in ourselves first. Otherwise, we have more influence in the world than we think we have. And when we think we don't have that influence, it automatically shows off, in our body language, in the way we speak, in our demeanor, everything. So I think the first step is really believing in yourself. And one of the exercises I often do, you ask me one of what do I do? So one of the exercises that I often do, and I learned this from Coaching with Compassion, Dr. Richard Baltz, is he says, imagine a time, I do this with most of my clients, and it's very powerful. So think about someone who has truly helped you become the person who you are today. It might be from your childhood, it might be from your adulthood, whoever it is. Think of one person who has helped you become the person who you are today. And then think of one specific moment when this person has helped you. One specific moment. So you think of a person and then specific moment. So the next question is, what did they say? So what did they say? Did they ask you to believe in yourself? Did they encourage you? Did they tell you that you have more than you think you have? So whatever. And then you see how did that go back to that particular situation and actually step into that particular in your own shoes few years back and see how did it make you feel then? How did it make you feel then? And then the third question is, why was it so helpful? What was it that made it so helpful? So these are moments, special moments. These are defining moments in our life. What happens is when somebody encourages us to do something, whenever somebody believes in the potential in us and says something, it makes a massive difference in our neural network, and it taps into the empathic network in our brains. And when we're able to tap into that empathic network in our brains, tap into our vision, in our hopes, because what happens then? They then tap into our vision, our hopes, our dreams, what we aspire to be. And that is the pull that drives us to do our best work. So that's the connection between that role model and the work that we do. And I often think, okay, if there was a teacher, and I often think of my mother and also one teacher who is that role who inspired me to be my best self. And I often think, why can't leaders be that person, right? Why can't a boss be that person for an employee? Yeah. And if we can make change in one specific leader, imagine the ripple effect it will have on the people around them. You can create so many transformational leaders, isn't it? So I love that exercise. It's a brilliant exercise when you really think of it and do it in a peaceful way. It's really transformational.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. That's powerful. So I also like to say, going back to some of the things you just mentioned, women tend to think more about their past achievements when they are asked for, how great they are at something, like in a job interview, like for example, in a promotional for a promotional opportunity, when they have those conversations, right? So they think more about their past, while men think more about their potential and the future, and that's what they get paid for. And when we talk about also the owning your value, you mentioned that concept, right? To owning your value, to own your value, first have to know your value. You have to understand your value, understand yourself. And that's why a big portion of the leadership work we do is actually on self-awareness and self-leadership. I cannot lead anybody else if I don't know how to lead myself, right? So that always comes first. So I love how you mentioned these concepts, and we all do them in our own way. And you mentioned role models. So role models are super helpful, of course, but I always say also, you don't really need a role model. you are your own role model. You can still have your big vision, even if you're the only one who's ever done this or who's going to do this, right? So while it's good to have them, if you don't have them, just don't worry, because you have your own very specific vision. You are a unique being, what I call in my work distinctive uniqueness. So yes, but thank you for that. It definitely has a ripple effect if we have those people in leadership and at all leadership levels. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's just really wonderful. You have been amazing in your sharing, and I want to thank you in the name of all our audience. So we have to wrap up soon, but I do want to mention really quickly, I was in Doha in Qatar.
Wow.
Just a few years ago, yes. Was it 2 years ago? And I was teaching a women's leadership workshop for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And we had so much fun. We were a small group. They all were from the same company, and we had 7 women in the workshop, and it was just the most amazing experience. I learned so much myself. Of course, it's always like that. You know that, right, Archana? When we work with people, when we coach people, when we teach, we always learn a lot ourselves at the same time. This was a lovely, lovely experience. So I definitely want to go back someday.
For sure.
Maybe.
Next time it's just a phone call away, and I'm happy to be your host here in Doha. It's a beautiful place, and a lot has changed because FIFA 2022 is coming to Doha, so it's becoming more beautiful and very beautiful. So you must visit here.
Right. Maybe someday in the future we can do a collaboration or something. Who knows, right? Sure. Who knows? Definitely. Okay. So before we close, I also wanted to quickly share my spark. As a multicultural transformational leadership coach and inspirational speaker, I help mid-tier women employees achieve their next career goal so they can fulfill their potential and increase their income, influence, and impact. Because that's what we all want, right? We want to make an impact, and that then leads to a more fulfilled life. And this Thursday, just as a quick reminder, I'm also going to share again a free resource here on LinkedIn. Check in around 11:30 a.m. Eastern time to grab it. Again, thank you so much, Archana. Thank you for to all the beautiful people watching, for your comments, for liking this show, for sharing it if you feel inspired to. And we trust it inspired you as well to really dig deep with your unique spark and fulfill your potential in this way. Please also go to YouTube and like the show there as well. If it's easier to share it there for you, do it in that way. It's available in 2 places. And see you next Tuesday when I will introduce another amazing surprise guest. Thank you, Archana. Beautiful show today.
Regina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. And thank you for the amazing work that you do.
And to you, we both do our part, and that's what counts. So let's keep doing it. And I really look forward to staying in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.